That's right, you are now listening to Tommy Tom's One Mic. Warning, this podcast contains explicit language, triggering or sensitive topics, and controversial discussions. Thank you so much for tuning in to Tommy Tom's One Mic. I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, split personality, you know it's I. You never seen my kind, never seen a fucking sliver or a slice. I'm the butcher, choice cuts, know I'm nice. You got beef? I got waggle with a knife. Now I'm gonna be wrapping up bodies up at night. Like Ray Charles, y'all know I'm out of sight. Now I'm gonna be slaying niggas, cause you know I love the life. Yo, you gotta read between the lines. I'm only gonna be moving when I'm read through all the signs. Johnny Mnemonic, I got an upgraded mind. This is for the rebels and their revolutionary minds. Cybernetic linguistics, you know I'm on my mind. Prototype the new dimension, man, that shit is mine. Future is creation and creation is sublime. Make your own legend, only happens with time. Let's hit the mic.
Welcome back. This is Tommy, and welcome to Tommy Tom and One Mic. I'm here with my boy, Mr. Preston Hashagen. Did I say that right?
Hashagen. Close enough.
Hashagen?
Yeah, everyone says Hashagen. It's fine.
Okay.
Germans separate the S and the H for whatever reason.
Oh. I was trying to figure that out. I always whenever I had to bring you up on stage, I was just like, oh, I'm just going to say it real quick and hope I didn't fuck it up.
It's really funny being a white guy and still everyone's nightmare.
You know, I could have added a German twang or whatever to it.
Just call me just call me AA Ron.
Yep. Switch it up. But Preston's a funny guy. You've been doing comedy for how long so far?
I started 4 months before the quarantine.
Oh, yeah.
So not about a year and a half almost.
Mm. But you still get to go out to some mics out in Jersey and whatnot. You've been doing that.
Yeah, I try to do 2 a week if I can. Lately it's been rough, but
yeah, things get a little tighter.
Yeah. It's just the way that all the mics have kind of gone during the quarantine is, because restaurants are nervous. They don't let people in. The capacity is odd, and then they don't really promote the mics a lot like they used to kind of bring in a little free show.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of every once in a while you'll get one person that's not a comic, but it's very rare. It's almost all comics that you see all the time, and no one's there to listen. You know how comics get. You just want to do your material and get a reaction, but no one's getting a reaction because no one's there to listen to material. They're all there to just try material. And material doesn't even work right now. It's it's really hard to get a mic where the material actually works out on stage. It's almost like you have to do inside jokes, which is never going to work at a show.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird spot. So I've been taking longer breaks in between them now just to kind of recalibrate. Because without the shows in between them, it's just constant down. It's you never get the big punch of the laugh. So the mics are just kind of emotionally painful. And then you don't get you don't get the show where you get that big uptick where, you get normal people to laugh. So you feel better. You're like, oh, okay, I am funny. Right now, it's you don't get that. So it's just constant oh, am I even good at this anymore?
It's you're just going out to stand on the stage and talk to yourself.
I mean, I look at it iron sharpens iron. So it's if I can struggle through these tougher times, it'll make me better in the end anyway. And I feel it'll probably help break the, they say it's the 5-year mark where you start to really get comfortable on stage in general. So yeah. I feel it maybe helps with that just to have harder times so that by the time you get used to that, it's really not a big deal to be in front of people that actually laugh because now it's actually positive instead of having all the negative for 10 months now.
Oh, yeah. I always say it with bombing or something. I don't mind a bomb because it's just, I'm better off later on.
I don't mind it.
Just get through it.
I don't mind it afterwards, especially if I don't really record my sets too much because I just got a new phone. But before that, I had White Russians one night and I threw up all over it. And so my wife just left it there to teach me a lesson. And because of that, the speakers would kind of work sometimes, but they usually sounded like the stereotypical rap guy from the 90s where it's you couldn't hear anything. So I couldn't record my sets. And then I started bringing a camera, but they were all bombs because that's all you do right now at mics. So I mean, every once in a while you get a little bit where you kind of you try to hang on to that 2 minute where it's oh, they laugh for a second and then they just start, talking amongst themselves and shit again. I can't blame them. I almost never laugh. So I can't get mad when nobody laughs at me, but I don't know. It doesn't help that like with comics, the longer that you do comedy, the more it takes to make you laugh. So when you go to an open mic, it's just like you don't give a shit. It's hard.
I find myself like just more so analyzing, I guess, jokes that people are telling more so than, I guess, enjoying it.
Yeah, that's I think what most comics will do, because I mean, you spend your time either writing or performing. So then, as like a person doing the same art form, like I mean, I've been playing guitar since I was 12, and anytime I've ever gone to see a live band since I started playing guitar, I always try to get as close as possible. I'm never interested in moshing and stuff, even though like every once in a while I'll do it. And I mostly, or at least I used to mostly play more metal, but I always liked it because the guitar players were like insane. Like all my favorite bands have really good shredders, and like they could do a lot of crazy solos, all that stuff. And so I always had to get close so I could watch the guitar player. It's not like the band's there. I like the band. That's why I'm there. But I really just want to watch him do this live because it's crazy to me that he could do this and like he's having a good time and like putting on a great show. And so like I would analyze it, but in like an aspirational type of way. Like I looked up to it and it was like something to aspire to be. I do that. Like I saw Tom Segura and that's how I felt. Like it was like I was watching him like, oh, his stage presence is like fucking demanding. Like he just like sucks you right in and like he just owns the stage and all that type of shit. So I was still analyzing it, but it was more like looking up to him. Whereas a mic, we're all basically on the same level. Like there's the guys that are like clearly better. Like if you ever met Dave Namery.
Yeah.
He's really good. Mark Henley, but they're all past their 5-year mark and you could tell like they just have this presence about them. And so like, I mean, but even with them, it's like they're better than me. I could admit that for sure. But like, I'm not like, it's not like I'm watching like a professional comic. I'm looking up to them. I'm still like just at a mic with them and I'll chit chat with them after and talk about comedy, but it's hard to pay attention to what people are saying or like really like laugh at it and be just like an audience member when you're all there for the same reason.
The open mics are different than actual shows. They do say it's generally practice and whatnot, and you're just getting that reps and that comfortability on the stage. But there does reach a point where it's like that's not the issue that you got to work on as much. It's more so
your joke.
Now I need to just like start actually performing in front of an audience, so I can start really tightening and working on the jokes.
Well, the way like mics are supposed to be is like you generally would be like a bar or some sort of public location where normal people oftentimes is kind of just dropped on them. So maybe they can get upset about it because they weren't going there for comedy. But either way, you have like actual people, not just comics. So then you get a little bit of practice with people, but you also have like, it's not going to be like a great show because it's not all normal people. It's like half comics or so. And then the rest is some people, but now it's just all comics. So it's like this weird like shift in like the energy, like all of them, like because once you get to a certain level in comedy and you become more of like a road guy and like a regular, like some of those guys will still drop into a mic until they get to a certain level, but they usually use like if you get like a regular spot at a club, like say like the Comedy Store, they go to the Comedy Store every night and that's where they work on their jokes. So now it's like if you don't have people there, it's hard to work on the joke. You're really just working on your stage presence, which for me I think it got kind of worse. Like I was a bit more like I'd move around more. I'd get more confident in my act outs. And then now it's like I went to go try this new act out I had about Christmas. Like when I was a kid, I used to love it. And my son, we had Christmas like last year and he was like, I hope it's always like this. And I had like a heart to heart with him. And I was like, it's not going to be like one day you're going to get older and you're going to have kids. And it's not going to be about you anymore. It's going to be about your kids. And, for me, that really upset me for a long time because I loved Christmas. But now my son's at this age where, I like Christmas again because every morning on Christmas, I get to watch him open up gifts that I want.
Yeah.
And so like, then I went into like this whole act out of how, as a parent, you have this weird power that you could use of Santa Claus where it's like, you're not listening. I'm going to call Santa. And then like I had like the whole act that was me on the phone, kind of like the Bill Burr type shit where like you only hear my side of the conversation. And so it started with like, he's not listening. My kid's being a little cunt. And then eventually it was supposed to like dissolve into like, no, you hang up. No, you hang up. And like, but it's like supposed to be me on the phone with Santa. And like, it really requires you to commit to it. And I got like 4 sentences into like the act out, and I like literally just stopped. I was like, "Can anybody here do act outs?" And everyone's like, "No." I was like, I'm like trying my best, and like in my head the whole time I'm like, "This isn't working. This isn't working. This isn't working." Like I'm the one who made it bomb because of my lack of confidence. But it's hard to get it when like there's no regular person there who's like,
there's no stakes really when you're performing in front of a bunch of other, like, yeah, there's the respect thing, but at the same time it's different performing in front of an audience because it's like
I feel freer.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm not gonna have to see a lot of these people again.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have to see you in 2 days when you watch me try to do this again and eat shit a second time.
Yeah,
It's like it's a mind fuck sometimes. It's why I like it though. I mean, I've just been taking longer breaks because as much as I enjoy it, it is nice to just without the shows in between to like I'll do it, I'll get my feelings hurt like once or twice and I'll take a week off, then I'll do like 2 or 3 mics a week. Like next week, this guy Rich, he started this new mic in Nanuet, New York. I think it's New York, right? And it's at like a billiard hall. And so I kind of have like a double reason to go there. Like my son really likes to play pool. He's actually really good at it he's 9. And like he fucking beats me sometimes legitimately. Like I never take it easy on him in anything. Like I'll fuck him up in Mortal Kombat. I don't give a fuck. Like you're going to get good because you're going to be good. Like I don't believe in like just letting somebody win. I don't think that helps anybody. But he's pretty good at pool. And so like it's at a billiard hall. I figured I'd check it out, make sure it's like a legit place to bring my son. And then also they're doing an open mic there. So there might be some normal people. And like any guy who's hanging out in a pool hall later at night that would maybe even see the mic is going to be probably more my crowd anyway. So I'm really looking forward to that on Monday. And then I figured I might that really, at this point, depends on the weather if I could even make that one. But, yeah. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, I was maybe thinking about doing 2 more. And then there's another one on Thursday that kind of popped up recently. I was like, maybe I'll just fucking crank out a whole week and then take another week off. And crank out, and then the closer I get to the show, I'll probably do as many as I can because I really hate the idea of like being unprepared for a show. Like that's I think the other reason why I like shows is because I'll fucking do every mic I can get to for like 2 weeks before I get there. So by the time I do the show, I know all my jokes, I'm sharp, and like I don't have to worry, and then that makes it easier to just let go and just have a good time, which everyone enjoys more than when you're like trying to be funny. To just
it's like it's
funny.
A motivator. It's a motivator to get you off your ass because it's like, oh shit, I got something to actually do.
Mm-hmm. Like I'll take the week off in between mics. Like I'll do like the 2 or 3 or whatever. I'm like next week I'll take off and I'll write like 2 or 3 more jokes, and then like I don't, and then it's like 2 days before a mic. I'm like, oh, I should really fucking write something. Like I'm always a procrastinator. I've always done it, like even in school, but. It works out to a degree, but I should definitely get more disciplined with that. Sometimes I just juggle too much.
You know, now you got a legitimate excuse with how things are now, so it's nice.
I hate excuses.
Yep.
That's why I'm fat.
Gotta do.
I'm like, I had a hard day at work. I can't lift weights, and that's why I'm a fat piece of shit. If I would just work out every day, I wouldn't look like I do. I do like 2-3 times a week. I'm just big enough to where like I look like I could maybe lift something, but I'm also like I got a gut. Like
hey, man, the dad bods are in 2021. It's the year of the dad bods. 2020 made it happen.
I don't even think about that often until like you're doing doggy style and shit, and like my guts rest on my wife's back. I'm like pushing down with my stomach to like pump it more, and it's like I should really do something about this.
It just replaces your hand having to push down or anything. It's just like use the gut. That's the trick of the dad bod.
Well, but the issue is like I remember it was like a year or 2 ago. I was like, I feel like my dick used to be way bigger, and I realized if I just push the fat down, I'm like, oh, I got like an extra 1.5 inches. I'm lacking because of my fat. Like it's ridiculous.
The little things that appear.
I mean, when it comes down to inches with a penis, that's not a little thing. That's like. I'll make it break some people.
Whole thing. But what got you into comedy? Like, I guess what
doing stand up
at like first mic.
Well, I wanted to do it for a long time. I mean, I've when I was younger, me and my dad would watch certain things. Like I remember we watched some Dave Chappelle. He showed me Pryor before that, and Eddie Murphy, and then we watched at the time. When I was probably like around 12, I guess. I think Vicious Circle came out. And before that, we were watching like the half-hour specials and stuff on Comedy Central. And I remember we saw Dane Cook, and we both were like, he's going to be really popular. And then like a year or two later, he had like his first special, and then like a year or two after that, is like Vicious Circle came out. I remember we were dying laughing, and now I go back and I watch it, and I really don't care for it. But at the time, like everyone liked Dan Cook, and it made sense. We did the same thing with Kevin Hart. I remember we watched he had like a half hour on Comedy Central, and we were like, he's gonna be fucking big. And then we saw Grown Little Man when that came out, and we were like, oh shit, he's like getting big like we said he would. And then like he fucking blew up, and then like I kind of like don't really like his comedy too much anymore. It's not bad. It's just I don't think it's as good as it used to be. He was definitely a lot. It's more visceral.
Think for like some of the guys, it's the hype that they've developed kind of kills it, because sometimes you go in expecting.
I think he has a lot going on. Kevin Hart does a lot of shit, and so I don't think he's. I mean, before he maybe had like he was in Hollywood or doing whatever he was doing. He was trying to get in movies, like he did Soul Plane and stuff, but he wasn't. I mean, he was like a side character in Soul Plane and like shit like that. Like he was doing like.
Virgin.
He was.
Virgin.
Yeah, he did like C roles and B roles, and now he's like an A-list actor. So he's like got this whole fucking career as an actor where he's probably making substantially more money than he ever will in comedy. But then he obviously still loves comedy, so he goes back to it, but he's not dedicating the time that he did. So his material's not as good to me as it used to be. Like I remember when Grown Little Man came out, it was like every other fucking thing he said was amazing. And now it's like you could tell like he has like his own caricature of himself, or like what people call like your cadence, and like the way he speaks and shit. And like now he does it as like that's the joke, is like him just being himself now. Like he'll get like loud real quick and like do like this weird like body movement, like that's supposed to trigger a laugh, and it does. I mean that is like scientifically like a way to get a laugh is once you find your thing you could do it. But
yeah, it
used to just be a part of a joke. Now it's like sometimes that just is the joke. Like I remember the one special, he's like, I got fire and more fire. And he just kept like pointing at the stage like they shoot the pyrotechnics out. I'm like, it's it's funny, like maybe if you were there, like, but for a special, like I know you have pyrotechnics. You came out there on. I don't need you. I'm not in the audience. But at the same time, that is a thing that comics talk about when they do their specials, is like you're not just playing to the room, you're playing to whoever's sitting at home watching it, and it's never the same.
Yeah.
But I just don't like it as much as I used to. But to get back to the actual question is, I always wanted to do comedy. And then when I finally really wanted to do it, I remember I took a couple friends, we went to New York City, and we went to Laughing Buddha, which is a pretty popular mic. And they have a few of them. I went to the Climax Lounge with my friends, and we were just watching, and like it was weird because I didn't realize like how an open mic was at the time. And so I went in there, and they're like, "Oh, you guys gonna perform?" I was like, "No, we're just here to watch." And they're like, "Really?" And like they were like got all excited.
Yeah.
Because New York City mics are just a bunch of comics. It's not usually. Yeah. So like I was like, oh yeah, and that's like when I first realized like it's kind of weird. And then after that, I was like, okay, I saw some people that were definitely worse than I could ever be, and I was like, I could definitely do better than that. So like that was kind of like the confidence booster. And I was also working at Shoprite at the time, and my hours had gotten switched to like 11:30 to 8 at night, 6 days a week. And I was transferred like to Liberty, an hour from where I live. So I was like never seeing my wife and kids. And when you work in retail and shit, like growing up, I was always pretty impulsive, and like I would do like wild shit in high school, and I always like making people laugh. And then doing retail, you kind of like shut that entire part of your personality down. And now I'm doing it like 40 something hours a week. Most of the time I'm awake, I'm just like censoring who I am. And I got to this point where I could feel like I was just like crippling who I was. And I like really started to hate every day that I was alive more than usual. And so I was like, I really need to like make a shift. And I was like, I'm going to really go for comedy. If I do well and like I can get some mics in, I'll quit ShopRite because my wife had started working a better job, and I'll get something else to compensate and concentrate on comedy. So then I wrote some shit. I finally went to the Climax Lounge a second time, and I performed. And I remember I went up, and the lights were way brighter than I would have thought. Because when you play guitar and stuff, like the lights are usually center stage, but guitar, you're like left or right of stage. So I wasn't directly in the lights, and I was able to see the audience. But now I was like completely blinded. And then I blanked out. And they had said online, like, no notebooks and everything. And I got there, I didn't bring any of my shit, but everyone else was bringing up notebooks and stuff. And they're like, oh, no, we don't care. I was like, I wish I knew that like before I fucking came to New York City without any of my shit.
Yeah.
So I went up there. I got like 2 or 3 jokes down, and they did okay. I could tell I was talking fast, so I tried to like slow myself down. I did like one more. It was like a riff off like something else that another comic had said, and then that got a laugh. And then I blanked out for like probably like 30 seconds. I just like stood there and I was like, oh, and I like went on like another joke I remembered, blanked out again, remembered one more joke, and I was like, do I have to be up here for the full time? I was like, no, you can get off whenever you want. I'm like, I'm out. And then like I did like maybe 3 minutes. But I remember I got like a good amount of laughs, especially for like what I would have considered to be my first time in terms of laughter. I didn't expect much of anything. So I was all jazzed up. And after that, I was just like, yeah, I don't want that feeling to go away. And now it's like, if I could only take like a week off, or like I start to get like my kids and shit are like, you should go do that. It's like, you're an asshole right now. I'm like, yeah, I could feel the demons coming back out. Like I said, I'll work out like 2 or 3 times a week. I usually do like heavier lifting. Like I'll do squats and deadlifts, and I hit like my heavy bag and shit to try to get out some of my rage. But something about just like getting on stage and like that adrenaline dump and just vomiting out your thoughts. Even like half my shit stuff I would never actually do, but it's just like a thought. Like, wouldn't this be weird or funny? Like I try to like, I think it should be obvious. Like a lot of like my influences would be like Louis C.K. or Jesselnick, stuff like that. But I've actually had one comic specifically was like, because like I have like a couple. Oh, I had a couple. I don't even do them anymore, kind of because of this conversation. I had a couple like pedophile jokes.
Oh shit!
And he was like, "Oh, like I thought like maybe like this guy fucks kids." I'm like, "Why would you?" I'm like, "We're all here to like try to make people laugh. Like, why would you think I was being serious?" Like, so like it kind of got to my confidence in that way too. I was like, maybe I shouldn't talk about that shit anymore. But like, I got a good one now. You'll see it in March.
I only had one mess up that turned into a pedophile joke. That was at the Creek and Cave. I did like, they only gave us like 2 minutes. And you see, I do like storytelling comedy, so it's like a little tougher. So I was just like, all right, I have this one premise I've been working on, so let me just throw it out there. And it's like, yeah, now that I'm in my 30s, I feel like it's time for me to get into a real relationship because I've never been in one. And like the main joke is that, the problem with that is that now all the girls my age are now with guys near or in their 50s or are just now growing pubic hair. And where I go to is like, so what am I supposed to think? That like that there's a girl out there right now sipping her sippy cup and eating her Dunkaroos, and that like one day she's gonna be mine? Like, is that my saving grace?
That's a good one, though.
Which can be taken bad. Where I fucked up when I did the joke was like, what, in like 5 years she's gonna be mine? And then I like realized what I had implied at that moment. And I was just like, fuck. So I just kept going, and then it was a female comic that came on after me. And the first thing she said, "Hey, Tommy, I think I know why you're alone. Because you're a fucking creep." Like, I got to eat that one. I fucked that joke up.
I had one chick in the city. She did her set earlier than me. And I don't remember there being any jokes. I remember it was just, she sounds like, the fuck's her name? The Nanny.
Fran Drescher?
Yeah, that's like, she just sounds like her. And all she talked about was how like she hates her husband. And she's like a Staten Island Jew. And like, but there was no like setup or punchline. She just like bitched about a lot of stuff. It was like, I don't know, I didn't get it. And I went up, 4 or 5 people later, and she stuck around for whatever reason. It was in New York City, so she could have like gone to another mic, but she stuck around. And I had a joke at the time about my dad running over the internet because he came home drunk one day and like hit the post. And like I live next door to him, so like my internet was out, and I was like, you don't realize like how much like you use the internet until it's gone, because like now like there's nothing to do around the house, and like my kids like always want to do stupid shit like spend time with me or something like that. I'm like, I'd much rather be watching like hardcore interracial porn. And she was like, ugh. I was like, what do you mean ugh? And she's like, you mentioned kids and interracial porn in the same sentence. I'm like, you don't do that? She's like, no. I'm like, well then you're doing it wrong. And like I had like the guys in the back of the room laughing, but she was like clearly pissed. And then I just kept like going in on her because like my natural reaction, I have to get over it. Or maybe if I can make it work and it stay. I mean, it seems to have worked out for me every time so far, which is probably why I keep doing it. But I naturally, if I start to bomb, I just turn on the crowd. like immediately. Like I just start like attacking the crowd and like calling them pieces of shit and stuff. But I always like find the one that I really don't like and I just like attack them. And like I don't mean to. It's just like my natural defense mechanism. It's like, oh well, fuck you too. Like, but it worked out in that instance at least, and like a couple other times I bombed. But at Mike's, there's no point. I'm just gonna be attacking people I have to talk to in 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, yeah, true. Oh man, do you have like I guess in your short career, you have a career highlight or something?
Well, the main shows that I've done were with you so far. Because I mean, like I said, like maybe like 4 months before the quarantine, I was doing it. In the first couple months, I was still at Shoprite working that shift, so I couldn't even make it to any mics.
Oh yeah,
so I was doing like one mic a month when I first started, just to like try to ease into it, and like when I could actually make it to one. And then when I quit, I had like maybe 2 months before the quarantine, and I started hitting mics hard. I was going to Levity Live every week, and I started doing pretty well there. And I was talking to some guys about maybe getting on the like a smaller show in the actual venue, because they have like the theater room in the Palisades Mall, and then they have like a little room that they do the mic in. And it was like in talks, like I was maybe going to be getting something there, and then quarantine hit, and I was just like down to nothing. And then I got like the shows with you, and then that's really it for shows so far. I mean, I've had people mention stuff, and then like it always like falls through or something because the bar gets shut down again or whatever. But when I got to the point where I'm actually getting asked to do shows, because a lot of it with like this part in comedy where I'm at is like knowing other comics. It's not even really based on if you're good or not. Because I've seen plenty of guys who are just dog shit, and they get a show like every other week just because they host a mic or like they know somebody. And then I finally started to talk to people, because it takes me a while usually to start talking to people. I like to like watch for a while and decide who I like and who I don't like, and like hear about the drama before I decide to talk to somebody. Because I hate when I talk to somebody for like a week or two, I'm like, they seem okay, and then all of a sudden I find like, oh, like there's all this weird shit. Like I'd rather just know and then talk to them. So once I started to talk to people, I started getting asked to do some shows. But like I said, aside from like the ones over with you, they tend to get shut down a lot. And then there was one, this place, the Flamingo Lounge. It's a strip club. And I was like, oh, I've never been to a strip club. I guess I'll do comedy there. And it's like in a tent outside, and they talk about like it's a show. And then when you get there, it's just a mic. But they like talk about it like it's a show, and like to give flyers, and like, this is weird. Like, just say it's a fucking mic, because I would have showed up later, because I showed up early thinking it was a fucking show, and I like to be punctual. And then like, turns out because I showed up early, and everyone else that showed up early was just being a bitch and didn't want to go first. So then they were like, "Can you do it?" I was like, I don't want to, but yeah, I'll do it. I've never gone first before. I usually like to go like fourth or fifth, like feel out the room a minute, but I'm not going to say no to anything. Like that's like one of my big things with comedy, and like it's one of my big like pet peeves with a lot of people I run into is like they won't do certain things, or like all this shit. Like it's like, who are you? Like you another open micer like me. Like just shut the fuck up and do what they ask you to do, and one day you'll get your break, or you won't, because you suck. Like we'll find out in like 10 years. It's like it's a long ride. So like fucking buckle up and eat the shit when you get it. Like it's just it is what it is. Like I did rubber roofing, man. This ain't shit. Like I'd rather do this than be on a rubber roof again.
Yeah, straight up. I used to shovel human shit for like the filtration plants.
I was gonna say what?
No, this is not the worst fucking thing I've ever had to do. You know.
I was gonna say, would you live in San Francisco?
No.
Just walk around the streets.
Pretty much, if I did. No, but it's like you said, it's a whole process that really does weed out people. I think like the question I always ask people, or like I make a statement just to gauge certain people, like when I was going to the city open mics, just to see if I wanted to like really get involved or something. It's just like, yeah, I'm not trying to get Oprah rich or something.
Yeah.
And
I just want to make a living.
Like, no, I'm trying to get Oprah rich. It's like, oh yeah, how long have you been doing it? It's like 6 months. And they have all these ideas and all that. I was like, yeah, talk to me in another 6 months. We'll see.
How about just name one comic that's Oprah rich? She's one of the wealthiest people on the planet. Like, I don't think there's any comic that's Oprah rich. I just want to make a living doing it. If I can make a good enough paycheck, my goal really is to make it to where my wife doesn't have to work and I could do comedy full time. That's my main goal. Because what documentary was it? I was watching something. I think maybe it was in I Need You to Kill. I think it was I Need You to Kill, which I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's got like Tom Segura and then I forget their names all the time. The one guy I really liked. The other guy, he was good. He's just not my style.
Was the lead Asian?
Well, he's like the club owner. He owns fuck. I should remember this, but I'm like
Oh, no,
I'm
no, I
fried
need
right
you.
now.
No. This was yeah, I know what you're talking about. I haven't.
It's a
seen
documentary.
It. It's like a documentary thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because the one club owner, I forgot the name of the club, but like the intro, it has Louis C.K. He's on some late night talk show, and he says he remembers like going to this club, and he sold out, and the guy gave him like a big envelope full of like cash. It was like $8,000 or some shit,
Oh shit.
and he was like, "Why are you giving me this?" He's like, "That's your money." He's like, "You never gave me this money before." He's like, "You sold out like 3 shows in a row or however many it was, like 4 shows. You did like 2 nights or whatever." And he's like, "This is a lot of money." He's like, "Yeah, but it's your money." He's like, "You sold those tickets." He's like, "That's your money." He's like, "This is what you should be making from now on every week." And I was like, if I can get to that fucking level, and like, I don't care if I go any higher, if I can make $8,000 a week and take like a week off every other week or something, I'm all in. Like, my wife won't have to work. I'll have a very comfortable living. I've never been a super money oriented person. I just like to be able to do things and have things on occasion. I don't need to fucking buy everything every day.
You want to
wanna
live
be happy.
comfortably.
Yeah. So I don't need to be making millions, but I wouldn't mind making a couple 100,000 a year if I could, but I'd be super comfortable with that, which is weird because like
6 figures.
yeah, but like I mean when you talk to people like us, like that sounds like a lot of money. But then when you talk to like people, I mean there's a lot of people that are above that tax bracket and they're like, you could fucking survive on 200,000 a year. It's like, it's weird. Like the older I get and the more I see like different economic levels of people, because I always grew up pretty poor. And then slowly through my adult life, I've kind of gone up. I'm in like the middle class tax bracket now. And it took me and my wife quite a while to get there because we had like our son, I was 20 and my wife was 21 when we had our son. We turned 21 like a few days later. And, it's like, you know, it's a hard struggle to get through that period of time. But after like years, and now we have a daughter, like we're living pretty comfortably at our current means. But like, I would like to do better and better and better. So if I could do that, do something I enjoy doing, that'd be great. I wouldn't mind being a millionaire, but it's not like in my head that like it's gonna be a thing. I think it's totally a millionaire is not really the most difficult thing to attain at this point in history because money is so fucking worthless now. Like $1 doesn't even get you a gallon of milk or anything. So being a millionaire is not like super unheard of, but it's not like a goal of mine. I definitely don't see myself looking at comedy and going like, that's what I want to be. I feel like when your goal doing comedy is to make money, you're not going to make money because the comics that make money make it because they want to do comedy. So their comedy is good. Like they're all just doing it because they just want to do comedy. Same thing with musicians, aside from like pop stars, but
yeah, no, it's a whole. The like, Bert Kreischer just set up that whole drive-in thing for it because he's like, it's going to cost money, but that's what you do. And
yeah, he wants to do it.
A lot of, I guess, up and comers or new people in comedy.
They heard a podcast.
I want to jump a bunch of steps. They're already looking too far ahead before they even like.
Well, again, they're not in it for the right reason. I was just talking to a friend about this earlier. It was more like a political conversation, and it was like more about like socialism versus communism, or socialism versus like capitalism, and how like a lot of artists, I'll use air quotes with artists, want to say like, you know, socialism is the way to go and all this shit, but it's like completely contradicting to what they do to make a living. Which is why, like, you see actors and shit, like, they'll talk all this shit about, like, you know, we should be more socialist, blah, blah, blah. But the second we start to actually do anything like that and they start to lose money, they start fucking like, oh, maybe not that socialist. Like, it's because, no, like, your entire career relies on the fact that you make art. And if you want to make money, people have to want to buy your art. That's a totally, like, capitalist setup. Like, you need someone to want something that you create. You're not going to get that through communism and stuff. Like, if you look at any, like, big communist countries, They're not known for their artwork ever or any innovation. They always steal innovation from like America. Like China takes all of their technology from us and then they make newer phones. It's like just how it works. You're not creative if you don't have a push to be creative. And so it's like, yeah. But then at the same time, going back to like the other end of it is like, if you're getting into comedy to make money and shit, you're never going to make money, because the whole point in art is that you like to make art. And because you like to make art, you make good art. And because you make good art, because you like to make art, people want to buy that art or pay to see that art. They're not going to pay to see you want to make money. They're paying to see you want to make them laugh. Like, you have to want to do comedy. If you want money, that's fine, but that can't be your driving force behind it, because you're never going to be good at comedy. You have to, same thing with guitar. If someone buys a guitar and they're like, I want to make $1 million, like, and they're only doing it because you want to make money, there's no creativity in that. It's just a selfish means, and you're never going to get to where you want to go. Like, Eddie Van Halen practiced his ass off, but he also was fucking like amazing on guitar. I mean, you could tell because he bought guitar companies and made his own guitars and made his own amps. Like, he made money doing what he loved because he loved it. I mean, same thing with Rogan. He made this whole empire doing what he loved. He had no expectation of making money. Now he does, because he likes doing it, and you could see it when you watch it.
Yeah, because that's what makes it real. That's what makes most things real, when you actually have some love behind what you're actually doing.
Well, that's why if you're on stage and you start to tell a joke that you're sick of, the audience could tell, and it doesn't get a laugh. So once you start getting sick of a joke, it's not that the joke doesn't work anymore, because if it's a new crowd, they never heard it. And if the joke worked before, it should work again. But it's not working because you don't want to fucking say it anymore. So your heart's not in the joke. So you're just regurgitating shit that you know how to say, and the audience goes, I don't really feel it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be behind it. Like, and that's how everything you say is going to be, if the only reason why you're saying it is because you hope it makes you money. It's never going to hit right.
That's true. All true words. Well, we're going to cut for a quick break. And when we come back, I'd like to talk to you a little about family and your collection all behind you, and your apparent love of music. I don't know.
Yeah.
We could come to that assumption. We'll be right back.
Say white back?
White back.
We'll be white back.
Right back. We'll be right back. And we're back. I'm Tommy Tom, and I'm here with my boy Preston. We've been having a good time talking. I've enjoyed hearing your coming up in comedy and all that. I can see some very similar things, both at Shoprite and the Laughing Buddha mics. Those were
both painful.
My hate for Shoprite is motivation enough. I think in my comedy career. I think they've offered me full time, and my response every time that they do it, I just look at them and like, I haven't given up on life yet.
I was supposed to be like the next guy to be like I was on like a fast track to basically become like a meat manager, which is like one of the higher paid positions in the store. And like I was a meat manager at a different store before that, and the store shut down, so I went to ShopRite, which for a butcher is known for being pretty good money. I was making like 20 plus an hour, and like I was making pretty good money, and I was just like, but every day, like, you're surrounded by the whole environment of a butcher is like a very old school mentality. So it's like, it's also union based in ShopRite. So it's like the new guy comes in and you just get treated like shit for like years. And then eventually, like, your name has been around for long enough that people know you and respect you to enough of a degree to where they don't treat you like total shit. But then, like, you become the old guy, and then the new guy comes in, and then you remember all the times that you got treated like shit, so you treat him like shit. It's like this vicious cycle of like, like hazing and shit. It's just like the way it is. But like, I mean, I was there. I was part time, but I was already making like 40 something hours a week. And then I was a meat clerk, whatever they want to call it. And then within like a few months, they had another guy who was supposed to be trying to be on like the same kind of fast track, and they had us compete almost as what they call a smoker chopper. But they didn't make either of us that position yet. But they had us doing the job to see which one they wanted to give it to. And that's when you start like grinding the burger meat and doing some other shit around the department. And I guess I did better, so that I got pushed up. But because of that, I got pushed to night shift. And then I ended up getting promoted to apprentice, and I got shipped out to Liberty. And then I was going to be a butcher in like a month or so when I finally quit, and like everyone was like, when I told them, dude, the look on their faces, because they're like, you're supposed to be like the next like they're looking for like a manager to like come up, like a younger guy. I was like, yeah, I fucking hate all of this. Like I was doing it because it's like what I'm supposed to do, but I was like so unhappy doing it. Like my entire life, I've always wanted to like, play music or do stand up, and like I used to draw a lot. Like I've always been more of a creative person, and like it always sounds pretentious to say something like that, but like there are different types of people, and some people are totally fine working a 9 to 5 or something like that. But the idea of that to me sounds like a prison, and it just makes me want to like throw up and like kill myself. Like literally, like I fucking like hated my life working at ShopRite. And it was like not even like just the people. Like I worked with some cool people. Like I still have friends I hang out with from ShopRite, but I just fucking couldn't handle the corporate work life because it's a corporation and it has its pros, but it has way more cons for someone like me. It's just like I said, like a prison.
Yeah, it's a rough thing. I definitely know. I do the night shift, so I don't have to deal with people. But you got the advantage, I guess, of a good family life.
Decent enough, yeah.
Well, you got 2 kids and a wife.
Yep.
How long have you and your wife been, I guess, married?
Married, I think 5 years now, and we've been together for like 10. So I wouldn't marry her until I knew she was the one. I put a baby in her, and I was like, let's just see if she can handle this, and then maybe I'll marry her.
Do a trial run here. Trial run. Then
I didn't know until she. Yeah. Well, I didn't know she was the one until she cleaned up my shit the one time. It was a Judas Priest concert. A lot of chili fries. I got way too drunk.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I woke up on the couch. I was like, God damn! I felt like I had like diaper rash, and I felt wet, but my pants were dry. And so like I got up and I woke up because I heard my wife and my kid gagging, and I go around the corner and there was like a tile floor in my kitchen. And my wife's like, you threw up on the floor. I'm like, I don't think that's vomit. She's like, well, what is it? I'm like, I can see my ass print in it. Like, I must have, my friend said, like, when he walked me to the door, I started taking off my pants. Like, he thought I was just going to bed. So he, like, just kind of, like, ushered me in and, like, closed the door behind me. But I guess I just, like, sat down on the floor and, like, shit. And then I stood and pulled my pants up and, like, went to bed. It must have been, like, the worst I've ever been, like, drunk. And then, like, dude, I literally, like, like, those, like, hollow eggs that you get for Easter?
Yeah.
It was like, if you crack that in half, that was my ass cheeks. I had to like go to the bathroom and like peel it off. It was like a plaster caster. I was like throwing it. It was awful. I had diaper rash for like 3 days. And I was so hungover. I felt like I was like dying. Like I don't know if I've ever been that hungover before. And my wife was like, you got to clean that up. I can't clean that up. But I remember I had like ShopRite bags and like a bunch of shit, like trying to like scoop it up. I got like, my hand touched. I got like one thing in there, and like the smell and everything. I was like I couldn't do it. I was too hungover. If I was sober, maybe I could have done it, but I was like so fucked up I couldn't do it. So my wife ended up doing it. And when I saw her sitting there cleaning up my shit and crying, I was like, I should propose. She's earned it. She's earned it.
She definitely did earn it.
So you know what you want, another kid? I think you earned it.
That was a ceiling deal right there. The second one.
Yeah. Well, that was after we were married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's not going to hell for it. So my son, he's fucked. We weren't. That was out of wedlock.
So
that was just
a daughter.
Yeah, one of each, and I'm done. Unless like down the line, like once my kids are out of the house, maybe I'll adopt. But that's about it. No more of mine. There's enough of me.
I always was like, it shouldn't be more kids than parents. It should be outnumbering.
I mean, like, even after we had my daughter, there's like that weird moment of like you love them both, but then you're like, I know I'm going to have to divide my time now. So when I see people with like, I mean, I'm one of 3. I have 2 younger brothers, but then, and like, I could tell there's like a clear favoritism in my family, but like to look at it, like with my kids, I'm like, if I had a third kid, like at least now with the 2, if I'm dealing with one, my wife could deal with the other or whatever. But if you have 3, like, now you're really juggling shit. And then you see like the people that have like 4 or 5 kids or more. I'm like, how does any kid get like your individual time enough? Like it felt like wrong to me to do that. I don't judge anybody who does do it. It's just, I couldn't imagine doing it. I'd feel like I couldn't do it. At least not correctly. That's when you notice like people who have like 4 or 5 kids, one of them's always on heroin eventually. Like it's just how it goes.
Yeah. I didn't notice that statistic. I gotta look that one up.
He just wants attention, man. He's just been looking for mommy's love for like years.
Oh man. He's getting that the heroin hug.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like what I think my mom would have felt like.
Oh shit. Man. But you also touched a lot on music and all that, as you've shown me in your background here.
Yeah, I got lots of stuff.
Assembly of guitars. And you do band practice. I believe you were mentioning.
Yeah, I'm doing it tomorrow. That's why I was able to do it today, the podcast. Normally, it's always a different day for whatever fucking reason, because musicians are basically like comics. They're fuck ups and all over the place, and like you can never predict what's going to happen. But I like to have a set day, but now we're going to try to start recording some stuff. So we figured Saturdays or Sundays would be best, because then we have a longer time to jam something out. I'm playing drums in my current band thing that I'm doing, but I used to just either play guitar and vocals. But now it's drums. Been playing drums for like a year and a half or so. Actually, a little bit less than comedy, so like a year.
And you have a name for the band or anything?
This one's called Bunch of Cunts. But it's just like because it's not like a lot of people. I mean, there's plenty of people that know about it, but it's not like a super mainstream name or anything like a household name. But this band Primus, you ever heard about them? It's kind of like that. Like the guy that plays bass. It started with me and him just hanging out and jamming, because he also played guitar, and then he wanted to play bass because the bassist in his other band is like not very good. And he's like, I could probably do better than that. So he bought a bass, and now he does like a bunch of slap shit. Like it's like the really funky stuff, which is more like Primacy. And so I wanted to get into drums, and I like metal, but and I could do some metal drumming, but I like metal drumming is very straightforward, just like and I like the more like the groovy shit. Like I like the groove. So, yeah. I do like more like Latin based drumming and stuff. So it worked out really well that he was going for more like a funky, oddly rhythmic thing, and then I was doing the same shit. So we just meshed like perfectly, and like we like do weird like time signature shifts, but they sound like they work together well. And then my friend, who's always been playing guitar, we're like, "Want to just play guitar in this too?" So now he's like doing that, and then every song so far is like just retarded. Like every like the music's cool, but then like the lyrics that we have, like we're not taking it serious, you know. We're not like being I hate when bands take themselves, or even comics or anybody, like when they take themselves too seriously. And this is really just like a hangout fun thing to do, especially like over quarantine is when it started. We just wanted to hang out and do something. So we treat it like that. We just try to make it fun. So like every song is like a weird topic or something like that. And like one that I think we're supposed to record it tomorrow. We just call the Sniffles, and it's about Biden.
Oh shit!
And like the whole chorus, like he's got the sniffs, he's got the sniffles, he's got the sniffs, and like it's just about how he sniffs kids. Like, but like it's like how like all the songs are. They're not all political or anything. Which that one's not really that political. It's just, I mean, if you have a TV and you have eyes, you've seen that. So it's
kind of like a Bloodhound Gang.
Yeah.
Kind of like just jokey.
Yeah, like it's
fun.
I wrote one a couple days ago, and it's just like I call it Chunky Monkey, and like the one part is just like all I've had to eat was a bowl of Chunky Monkey, and like that's like the dead end, and like but the whole song's about how like all I've eaten in like a day or two was like a bowl of Chunky Monkey, but there's still corn in my poop. And like the whole song's about like, why is there corn in my poop? Like I don't eat corn, and like that's the whole song is just like it doesn't make sense why there's corn in my poop, like shit like that. So that's like the whole band. I've had other bands that were more serious.
How many guitars do you have there? Anyway,
well, the one here is that's my grandfather's old guitar. It's a Fernandez Stratocaster, which at the time it was made, it was actually more sought after than a Fender, if you know anything about the brands. But Fender's like a major brand, and Fernandez was like a knockoff brand, but they did better at the time period. So My dad's been hanging on to it, and he keeps calling it his guitar because I'm lefty and that's righty, but it's my fucking guitar. And like,
Do you string it? Do you string it backwards? I know. I know.
No, I haven't yet. I'm leaving it righty because my friend's been using it. Like I have like a YouTube channel where we do like gear demos and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we restrung it and like polished it up for that, and that was just I kept it righty for now. Down the line, I'm gonna go through and convert it lefty though, and then on this side, I got the one here is a bass guitar that's right-handed too. My friend got it just for like the studio purposes, so I could track bass. I could play upside down, and bass you don't really do chords, so it's easier to play upside down for me at least. And then next to that, over there is a Epiphone Les Paul Custom Pro. That's left-handed. That's mine. Then that white one is a Fender Stratocaster. That's mine. And then right there is my first guitar ever. It's a Ray Junior. Like, it's super cheap acoustic. It was right-handed. I got it converted to lefty. So the first few months I played guitar, I learned upside down until I got it flipped. And you can't really see it, but behind the Les Paul, you can see a flying V. That's my favorite guitar. And then next to that, you can barely see that too. You can see a sticker on it behind the bass. Mm-hmm. That's my second guitar. It's a Ibanez Geo series, like a really cheap guitar, but it's my second one, and it worked out. And I still use it for like really shitty punk songs because I do like a bunch of different shit. Like I'll do a metal band one week, and then my bunch of cunts is like a consistent thing. But I do different songs all the time, especially for like my music channel. It's like we don't put out songs on it, but we do different gear demos. So depending on the gear, like right next to me, I can't show it to you, but I have like it's like a surf green guitar amp. It looks like a surf kind of guitar thing.
Oh, okay.
And but it sounds kind of like crunchy. So we did like a demo on that. So we played more bluesy stuff and twangy stuff, and then other things. If I have like a metal based equipment set up, I'll do a metal song. So I like to fuck around with different shit, especially the older I get, like the less of like a metalhead I've become. It's like it gets monotonous, you know.
You're about to enter your 30s, if I'm correct with the math with the kids and all that, right? You're about.
Yeah, I'm 29. 30? Yeah, August I'll be 30.
About to join the 30 club.
Better than the 25 club.
I love the 30s. 30s have been awesome for myself. So don't stress it. I know a lot of people stress getting older and shit.
Oh, I look forward to it. Every day I'm closer to death, and it's just like a relief.
That's your relief.
No, the 30s I've always looked forward to because it took me a long time before I'd like call myself a man. Mm-hmm. I felt like it's weird. Like just because like you're 18, I'm like, you're not a man. Like, and when I was in my mid 20s, it's probably like 25 or 26 is when I was finally like, I feel like I'm actually like a man now. Like I had my shit together pretty good. I took care of my family. And then I felt like I could call myself a man. But before that, it was like really difficult. But even now, I still feel like I'm a young man. I'm not like a man. I feel like my mid 30s is going to be like, I'm a fucking man. When I can finally connect my mustache and my beard without faking it, I'm a man. By then, I'll be like bald, but like I'll be another reason why I'll be a man. But like, I mean, also like your 30s, like especially like your earlier 30s, like 30 to, I think like 32 to 35 is supposed to be like your athletic prime. So, I mean, I'm going to be the strongest I'll ever be in the next few years. So that's why I started like the last couple of years, I started lifting more and trying to like get in better shape again. Cause I used to be in pretty good shape. And then with kids and stuff fell off of that. Like I used to do, my original dream when I was like 17 was to be in the UFC. Like I would do MMA training like 4 days a week and jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai. And then I haven't in like the last few years, but I do keep up with like jiu-jitsu and stuff every once in a while when I can. And I would like to get back into it. So I want to be at a point where like physically in my 30s, I'm like, this is like the best I'll ever be. And I look forward to shit like that.
Like, hit that prime.
Yeah. Plus like the older you get, the wiser you become. Like you have lessons that you learn as long as you're not stupid. Like every day should be a lesson in some way. So the older you get, the wiser you become. And I look forward to being less stupid. Like I don't like being dumb. I want to be smarter. So I as long as I keep pushing ahead, I feel like, you know, it'll only get better. Especially now. I mean, you look at guys in their 50s, they don't look like people in their 50s when I was younger. My grandparents, they were fucking 50. They looked like they were dying, which is probably why they're dead. And like now you look at people in their 50s, they're like Joe Rogan has a 6-pack. Like, I don't have a 6-pack. Like, you could do better. So, like, I'm not worried about that so much. I mean, by the time I'm Joe Rogan's age, he's like a generation ahead of me. So it's like, as long as I don't be a piece of shit, I should look at least as good as he does.
Get to it, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna get on that TRT the second I can.
I was gonna say, I was like, yeah, you get the good stuff.
Now, the second I can tell my testosterone's dropping, I'm gonna get on that shit. I'm gonna get on that. Dick pills. I don't give a fuck. I'll be an experiment.
Test it all out on me. Figure it out.
I go to the doctor and say, inside I feel like a man, so I just need some TRT. I may look more feminine now, but I would like to be a man again.
Reverse it. What
Exactly.
do I got to do to get some of that?
He's like, compete in female sports.
South Park.
I was just thinking Biden.
Yeah, no.
You signed that executive order, right?
Yeah, I saw that one.
I mean, I have nothing against trans people or anything, but like the idea that if you just say or whatever, I mean, even if you are genuinely, a transgendered person, to jump to another sport division, I mean, growing up with testosterone doesn't change in like a few months. It's like you're going to have a massive advantage. It just feels wrong. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
We'll see how this is all going to work out.
I'm sure it will eventually. I try to keep my head up. I'm worried, but we'll just see. It's always a pendulum. It goes left, right, all the time. It always balances out, hopefully.
That is
our country.
That is the hope.
Well, I mean, our country is not even 300 years old yet, and we've had our history, so we'll see how it goes. We've been burning it at the fucking wick the whole time, so.
Yeah, we haven't been fucking around. We're making history.
I mean, within 300 years, we're the only people on the planet ever to have used a nuclear bomb on another civilization. On like one of the oldest civilizations.
Yeah.
I mean, the Japanese and Chinese cultures, I mean, a lot of Asia, they've been around for fucking ever.
Yeah.
Not once were they like, we should blow up an entire city. We're around for like 200 years. Yeah. Just so they know. We have 200 years of oppression. We're going to fucking throw it on you. What's worse is Nagasaki and Hiroshima look better than most of America now.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Have you seen them? They fucking look awesome.
Yeah, that's not something I've actually looked up.
No, they look fucking awesome. Like, they look like New York City. They're like super thriving. It's wild, which I didn't think was possible with the nuclear fallout or whatever. But yeah, I was gonna say, leave it to the Japanese. They'll figure out how to live in that situation.
Figure out. I mean, that's why all those animes are always in dystopia Japan. It's just like no matter what the place goes through, it's gonna be big.
Yeah, they don't have a great outlook on the future.
Well, it's gonna be crazy. Well, they're like the past is pretty fucked up.
Well, I mean, when you look at like Japanese history or Chinese history, I mean, it's all, and their cultures are very like, it's really weird because like you look at it and they're very like prim and proper, they're very polite. But then the second you go to war, they do the most grotesque shit ever. Like they'll fucking like blow up babies and shit to kill you. Like they don't care. Like they'll literally give you like a baby bomb. That was a big thing in Vietnam. Like they do wild shit. Japanese soldiers were like, they'd cut off like a dude's arm and then eat it. But they didn't want to like kill them and then eat them because then the meat would spoil. So they just take off pieces at a time and like they'd like eat American prisoners of war. Like it's fucking wild shit. That was not even that long ago. That's like the 40s. Like that's not even 100 years ago. So it's like, but then you look at Japanese people and their culture, again, they're very prim and proper and polite and like, but then there's like that dark side. Again, when you watch anime and shit, you can see it come out. They get like they're really big into gore porn, it seems. Like they really like the violence and stuff when it comes down to it. It's weird. I don't know if it's maybe because they're such an old culture. I've always been fascinated with Japanese culture. Chinese too, but they're not as cool. They got that Wing Chun bullshit. out there killing Bruce Lee, making COVID.
Making.
I'm not even fucking around. That shit.
I hear the place is open again.
What? Wuhan?
The Wu-Tang or whatever. I said Wu-Tang.
I went to go get a. There's a symbol. There's a symbol on a drum set called a China symbol.
Yeah.
It's actually like one of my favorite symbols. It sounds really cool. But there's a company that makes them, and they're really, really cheap compared to like other symbols. Because symbols on a drum kit, like one symbol, and I have 6 on mine right now. One symbol could be hundreds of dollars. Yeah. I don't spend that much money on them, but my China symbol I spent like $300 on. But I was going to get a cheaper one, and the company that makes it is called Wuhan. So it's a Wuhan China symbol, and then I looked, and it's actually also made in Wuhan, China, which is also where COVID came from. And at the time I was buying my symbol, we were like a month into the pandemic, and I was like, maybe not a good idea. Yeah. Maybe I'll go with an American brand and not catch COVID through a symbol.
Patient 0. This is how it wasn't because of bats or anything. It's because Preston needed a drum symbol.
Well, now they're looking into it. They're saying that, I mean, there's been a lot of people saying for a while they're pretty sure it came from a lab. And now like, they're actually like really looking into it because they have 2 labs in Wuhan that research and develop, viruses like this. And then COVID specifically, it's more active at night, which is like one of the excuses for like the curfews that people try to put on. And during the day, like, sunlight basically kills it right off the bat. And that would be evidence towards it being a lab-made virus. So it was made like a dark, cool environment instead of a bright, sunny, warm environment. So it thrives more in more of a lab environment, which is why it also spreads more indoors instead of it being like something like it's airborne, but like outdoor spread isn't really that big of a thing. It's mostly like indoor spreading from the virus. So it all kind of points to it coming out of a lab. Not to say they did it on purpose, although you didn't hear about the Hong Kong protests anymore. But,
True.
It could have been a slip. That same lab in Wuhan has actually had a slip in the past, and they got fined for it. So, there's a lot of possibilities here, and it is like a dictatorship. So, who fucking knows?
We'll have to wait and see. Please don't bomb us, China.
Well, that would just become a whole thing. I don't think anyone's gonna bomb us like that, because that would just lead to a fucking nuclear war. That's the one thing everyone has. Everyone has nukes, so that no one wants to use them anymore. When we used them, we were the only ones with them. That's why we did it. That's probably why we did it. Like, let's just use this shit while we can. I just want to see what's up.
That was the U.S.'s big dick moment. Just like, whap. There we go.
That's what made us a superpower. World War II. We weren't America until then. I mean, we were, but we weren't like what we are now, where everyone cares about our politics. Before that, we were basically ignored on like a majority of the global level. Yeah. Especially when you have things like Germany, that small ass country that almost took over the world twice. It's my people. I used to have to do German dancing when I was a kid.
So we've come full circle from the name to the true German roots. So how are the Proud Boys? How is it being?
We're kind of just banned right now, I found out our leader was Latino, and it really got to me. Doesn't sit right.
Doesn't sit right. It is shit. Well, Preston, I think I've had you on quite a bit.
A little over an hour.
We'll start to close this down. Do you have, plug your pods and all the shit you got going on?
Well, I have my my one YouTube channel. My biggest one is Cerberus Studios. That's my music gear stuff. So if you like guitar or drums or music equipment, I demo that stuff there. And then I have Late Night Wormhole, which is my podcast. And on that channel, I have like one skit. I'm going to try to add more skits. And I have the stand-up I did at the one show at Cabernet Frank's. And then your show in May. That's all I got going on during COVID.
Yeah.
I'm just happy for the opportunities, man. Every time you say something, I'm like, yeah, I'm down. Anytime we have a show, I don't care. I'll drive a fucking hour for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however fucking long you give me. I don't care.
Whenever. I appreciate it as always. And guys, as always, I'm Tommy Tom. You can find me on Twitter at the TommyTom88 on Twitter and TommyTom P88 on Instagram. And Preston, once again, I've enjoyed our conversations. And
Me too.
Hope to talk again.
For sure.
We'll definitely do it again, and I'll definitely be in contact with you over May. But
For sure.
this has been the show. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your day.
I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Split personality, you know it's I. You never seen my kind, never seen a sliver or a slice. I'm the butcher, choice cuts, know I'm nice. You got beef? I got waggle with a knife. Now I'm gonna be wrapping up bodies up at night. Like Ray Charles, y'all know I'm out of sight. Now I'm gonna be slaying niggas cause you know I love the life. Yo, you gotta read between the lines. I'm only gonna be moving when I'm read through all the signs. Johnny Mnemonic, I got an upgraded mind. This is for the rebels and their revolutionary minds. Cybernetic linguistics, you know I'm on my mind. Prototype the new dimension, man, that shit is mine. Future is creation and creation is sublime. Make your own legend, only happens with time.